As we have seen in recent events in Puerto Rico and now in Saipan, territories are very fragile financially, and Guam is no different. That's why I have been talking for 4 years about the debt bomb, the tax bomb, things like that that have the potential to put our economy in a tailspin with devastating results as we now see in Puerto Rico and Saipan. So people ask me all the time, you talk about politically well-connected insiders using government of Guam as an ATM machine. What do you mean by that? And what I mean is that there is a tendency by people who get elected to positions of power to look at government of Guam as victory spoils and help themselves. So my litmus test for 2018 is Guam Memorial Hospital. Because if we look at how the different candidates for Adelup look at Guam Memorial Hospital, we can use that as an indicator what type of administration they will have. Guam Memorial has $156 million gross billings, but it loses $30 million a year. Where does that $30 million go? Well, we learned during hearings on GMH that whistleblowers have pointed out numerous instances where money is not being properly utilized at Guam Memorial Hospital. And that has been the case for 40 years. So when we look at the risk to our community of losing this valuable community asset, already we've lost joint accreditation, and our CMS accreditation is conditional. So we ask ourselves, what do the different gubernatorial candidates propose to do about Guam Memorial Hospital?
Considering the success, why do you not want GMH to go into receivership, considering the success the landfill receivership had for the people of Guam? Oh, interesting question. So, if the landfill, which was a bit of a disaster, went into receivership and now seems to be working to at least better, or was a benefit for people of Guam, which you could argue, why don't we just allow GMH to go into federal receivership and see if it can't be fixed that way? I think it's the Lou and Josh team.
I don't think we should put the GMH into receivership. I think we have a lot of talented experts here in our own to provide the management leadership and to provide the governance that we need to move forward our GMH. We can fix our GMH. Putting it in receivership leaves it out of control. You'll have the federal government tell you what to do. You'll have the federal government tell you who to service and who to provide health care to. I don't think that's right for our people of Guam. We need to make sure we control our healthcare system. We need to make sure that we put talented people in there. We need to make sure that the billing system, collections, and all that's there so GMH can have a sustainable source of finance and revenue. So putting it under receivership, I don't think is the answer, because we do have talented people here that can take care of our hospital, can provide efficiencies, can provide the operational services, and can provide the specialists that we have. We need to continue on being able to control our healthcare system.
Leon-Guerrero wants to keep the status quo. Ray Tenorio also wants to keep the status quo.
Why should you not poke yourself in the eye? Why should you not cut your own skin? Why should you not do anything that's painful and unnecessary? It's unnecessary. We have great people. We have great people in our island. Compassionate, intelligent. They see through the noise. The reality is, our doctors are good, very good. We've known them for years. Been at the same table every single debate. And we meet them in their clinics, in the hospital. Our people have the ability to do these things. Our people have been doing these things. Peter John Camacho, that's a good man. Great heart. good person. He was in charge of GMH when they got accreditation, and he's still in charge now. He still has the care. He talks about those people, and the nurses, and the therapists, and the doctors that he works with every single day. He works with Vince and Larry and all the other doctors who work in our emergency room, in our operating room. My mom died about 3 years ago. And every one of those people, the ICU, where she finally saw her last day, and so many other people in the emergency room, they take care of them. We'll never go to receivership. This administration has proven we can do it. We'll continue to do it. Accreditation, no accreditation, those people are the ones providing care. Those doctors are the ones providing care. I'll never give it to receivership. As a matter of fact, we got out from under federal receivership with the Department of Corrections. We got out from behavioral health. We're going to get out from DOE, and we're going to continue to do the good things for our island. We'll never go to receivership.
Frank Uggan is the only gubernatorial candidate that has proposed putting Guam Memorial Hospital into a receiver-type program, and for good reason. Guam Memorial Hospital for the past 4 decades has been badly mismanaged. And ORDOT dump for 30 years was badly mismanaged. And the federal government finally had enough and put in a receiver. And one of the first things the receiver did is identify how money was being diverted out of ORDOT dump, the landfill, into private hands. Just one instance alone, leasing equipment for $11,000 a day. That cost taxpayers $4 million a year. And when the receiver stepped in and fixed that piece of equipment, it only cost $800. But for the 6 years that piece of equipment had been leased, taxpayers paid $24,090,000. So for $860 over the past 10 years, the receiver has saved the taxpayers of Guam $40 million plus on just this one item. When we look at $156 million in billings and a $30 million loss, we know that there are tremendous opportunities for a non-political administrator, a receiver, to come in, straighten out the operations of Guam Memorial Hospital for the benefit of the patients and taxpayers. But Lou and Ray don't want to do that because they want to keep the status quo. They want to look at opportunities to reward their loyal insiders. And there's plenty of opportunities. And the reason there's opportunities is because government of Guam continues to fail establishing an ethics commission. A lot of the things that we're looking at, they might be legal, they might be illegal, but they're definitely unethical. But without an ethics commission, there's nobody to report to. So when we look at Guam Memorial Hospital as a potential pork barrel, already the Bank of Guam has refused to loan Guam Memorial money because they weren't going to make enough money off it. So for the past few years, thousands of women and children suffered because there wasn't enough money. We already see that Guam Regional Medical Center is closing their labor and delivery. That's going to put more workload on the labor room at Guam Memorial Hospital. So when we look at pork barrels, Department of Administration received notice from Bank of Guam that all the fees are going up. Why doesn't Department of Administration request bids and see if they can get competing proposals from other banks that will lower the cost of operations to us, the taxpayers? Maybe the next pork barrel, and this is my concern, will be the government of Guam employees' retirement system. It's the only reason I can think of why Bank of Guam would buy ASC Trust. There's a law in the legislature that, if passed, will require all Guam-based companies to have their retirement programs held locally. But that's not the plum. The plum is the $2 billion being handled by the government of Guam employee retirement system. Joe T. San Augustine is the chairman of the retirement system. He's also a member of Bank of Guam board. So there's another reason why I'm concerned about Bank of Guam and using the retirement system as a political pork barrel. We also still have Guam YTK, a $20 million pork barrel on the table. We still have GRRP, another $20 million pork barrel on the table. And then there's all the lands that CLTC has that have the potential to be diverted into private hands, like Manhita Farms, getting a 50 acres of land with rights to subdivide and sell. That could be a $100 million windfall for Manhita, zero for taxpayers. So when we look at this election, how fragile our economy still is, we need to put a team in place dedicated to serving the people of Guam over politically well-connected insiders. And that team would be the write-in candidates of Frank Uggan, Alicia Limtiaco. And also, look at this downstream team, because the governor can't do it alone. He needs senators willing to support him over political well-connected insiders. And we need an attorney general that's going to stand up to power and not submit. That definitely would be Doug Moylan. And we also need a representative in Congress that has the ability to make connections at a very high level. And that would be Doris Flores Brooks. So this election, vote as if the future of your children depends on it, because it does. I'm Ken Leon-Guerrero, spokesperson for Guam Citizens for Public Accountability, and you can bet I approve this message.